Hey girls, Sally here from Bridalicious. I used to see myself as someone who wore their heart totally on their sleeve. I'd laugh out loud, but I'd also cry equally as loud. I get pumped up and be inspired really easily, but also get distracted really easy and often fail to finish what I started. Even now, I've still got a good dose of that reactive Sal in me, but maybe toned down a little with the maturity of years and perspective of experience on my side. This has helped me pace and balance life much more effectively with this approach. Maybe I was defending my post, but before I got married and was actually about 10 kilos heavier, I'd often say that I'd prefer to feel deeply than to live a life where I felt and expressed nothing. This kind of justified my reactivity and my all or nothing nature. I'm not sure if you can relate. Was it right or wrong? I don't know, but I do know that the person I am now is a lot more responsive and less reactive. And this tends to work better for me, especially when it comes to my food. I think deep down, we all know that life works better when we respond rather than when we react. When we thoughtfully consider our actions rather than flying off the handle. There's no place where reactivity shows up faster than with our diets. We get stressed, we get lonely, tired, depressed, or feel bad about ourselves and unworthy. And the first thing we do is reach out for food. We overeat not because we're excessively hungry, but because we mindlessly shovel food in our mouths the minute we feel uncomfortable or fear things. We try to mask or minimize this emotion with food. Hello, emotional eating. First of all, can I address one thing? We're meant to have negative emotions. In fact, we should ultimately expect to encounter 4 specific joys and their opposites: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, and fame and disrepute. The world, though, conditions us to seek unchanging pleasure, gain, praise, and fame. But it's not how life works. Actually, we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those are negative. Add to the fact that we actually physiologically feel negative emotions about 7 times stronger than positive ones, and it can be a bit of a struggle to actually resist the urge to emotionally eat because it soothes us. One of the best pieces of advice I've heard when it comes to dealing with life's problems in a healthy way is to not eat whenever you're emotional. Try to respond to the problem at hand rather than actually react and reach for food. It's a much more mature way to handle things and a lot more effective in actually addressing and potentially solving the problems that we face. Otherwise, we're simply numbing the emotion and delaying the inevitable until that situation or feeling comes up again, which it will. Often we crave food to fill us up when we're feeling emotionally empty. When you get angry or upset, this emotion actually creates a chemical response which wants to be soothed, so we often crave food. But then 20 minutes later, you've actually forgotten about the incident that caused you to react, but your body hasn't. The craving is rarely about the situation, but rather the feeling that's actually caused in you. Throughout the week, when you have a craving for something sweet, salty, or fatty, I want you to take a moment, be still, breathe, and then ask yourself, what's really going on? Interrupt your habitual pattern and ask yourself honestly, what's causing it? Did you just get some bad news? Do you want to numb the pain? Are you fearful or uncomfortable of something? Do you feel bad about yourself? More often than not, if we're honest with ourselves, we'll see that the overeating or craving isn't the problem. No, food is not the enemy. But instead it's the issue inside that this craving is masking. So again, can I encourage you that when you're emotional, don't eat. Now, more than ever, science is actually proving that our bodies need healthy, clean, and vibrant foods, otherwise disease kicks in. We all know this on an intuitive level, so why again do we intelligent human beings and women still consume lifeless fast foods and processed junk? The answer is obvious. We're living out our legacy of busyness and distraction. It's so much easier to distract ourselves than feel the discomfort of growth and change. Those 2 things, unfortunately, are pretty constant. What's funny is that we're involved in a biological warfare with ourselves. We use biological grenades of drugs, sex, sugar, and food to constantly alter our chemistry in order to avoid coming to peace with ourselves. Then, ironically, we blame these biological grenades, including food, as the actual problem. We believe that these distractions have their own power, but really, it's our attachment to them that actually gives them their power. Ultimately, we break our patterns by looking inside and acknowledging them fully, not by drowning them out or trying to cover them up with yet another biological grenade. So in order to conquer your cravings, can I encourage you to get curious rather than critical by studying the art of staying, or what I like to call riding the wave, or riding the wave of the craving. Even if you think you might die if you don't have that chocolate bar, stay and breathe and ride out the wave of the craving. Even if it feels terrifying to sit with all the truths that are coming up, stay and ride the wave anyway. The more you can ride out the storms inside, the clearer and the brighter your future will be. And watch how much closer you'll get to actually fulfilling your compelling why. The less reactive you become and the more high quality fresh foods you eat on a regular basis, the less salt, sugar and fat you'll need to get that feeling of being satisfied. And in doing so, you'll address more problems than one. Get real with yourself, learn to ride the wave, and you'll conquer your cravings. A wise quote on this topic shared by Plato goes, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer self." The biggest part of this conquering self is actually getting at peace with yourself. This week's Eat Transformation task encourages you to tap into true hunger versus cravings by employing the Hungermeter Test. So, the Hungermeter Test. 0 means you're actually biologically or physiologically hungry. Half a tank means the edge is off. 3/4 of a tank means you're satisfied and not hungry, which is what we're after. 1 full tank means you're full and comfortable. Overflow 1 means you're stuffed. So you've eaten too much, maybe you've gone out for dinner, eaten too much. Overflow 2 means you're overstuffed. So this might be your birthday, you've just lashed out, you've eaten really fast, or you've eaten on the run. And then overflow 3 is exploding. So think Christmas lunch, Christmas dinner, where you're literally popping out of your jeans. So the goal is to stay between 3/4 and a full tank. So you're satisfied at all times, and that avoids overeating and that emotional eating when we do get hungry and we just overdo it because we're feeling ravenous and we've had a stressful day or we've had emotional things come up and we actually blame it on or take it out on food. So try to remain between 3/4 and a full tank, which means you're satisfied at all times and less likely to be ravenous and eat the equivalent of a small child in one sitting. I'm not sure if you can relate to that. So stay tuned into what your stomach is telling you, not what's happening outside with your emotions, traditions and circumstances. It'll make a huge difference.